last time it just started.
You know, we're new to this. Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? There, that's me. Yes. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me and see me. Give me a thumbs up if you can. And let me know in the chat if the sound is bad. Like, so can everybody hear me pretty well? Just give me a thumbs up or let me know. Because I can be closer to the mic. I just want to make sure you guys can really hear me when I tell you everything. Little Red Riding Hood. Sound is great. Yay. This is my other dress from Italy. I had to wear it. Okay, great. Perfect. Yay. All right. So before I jump in, I have to say, so I have this lovely gift right here that I'm going to be giving out at the end of the chat. So you have to stay to the end of the chat and ask me one question, and then you will be put into the drawing for this. And I wanted to go over what this is. This I got from one of those specialty paper shops. Oh my God. Gorgeous. Anyways, so it comes in this cute little box and you pull it out and it is this gorgeous fan. Pull it out of the box. I'm going to share it. And then look at that. But isn't that gorgeous? So they make this paper by hand. And then they make lots of stuff out of it. It's not cheap. So you pay for them making it by hand, but it is really, it's gorgeous. Anyways, so one lucky winner tonight will get one of these gorgeous fans. And they're great gifts, or you can keep it for yourself. Anyways, so you got to stick around and listen to me jibber jabber to get that gift. Okay. So the reason why I wanted to do this one live, so I did that other video, which was kind of things that I learned from Italy and thoughts and ponderings that I had. But the real reason that I went to Italy was sort of this transformation in Tuscany retreat. And it was a big deal. And so I want to back up a little bit to kind of explain like how it happened and why I felt like I needed to go. So at the beginning of the year, I did this workshop. There's this woman, and I've talked about her before if you've seen some of my recommended books, but Jen Sincero, I love her books. She's written a bunch of them. She's really funny. Self-help book. Yes, I'm addicted to self-help, but that's because I want to grow and be better and happier. And anyways, so I took a workshop from Jen in February, March, and it was really amazing. And while doing that workshop, two things happened. She has sort of a recommended reading. So she suggested reading Gina DeVee's book, The Audacity to Be Queen. So I picked it up and I loved it. And I really liked Gina's thoughts and the way she wrote. And she's really funny too. And so I read this and then I kind of put it aside and I was finishing up the workshop. And we kind of have to do this vision board at the end. And I was a little busy, so I kind of cheated and I just did like Pinterest and I just kind of put pictures up there on my Pinterest board of like, I don't know, anything that excited me, things I wanted, just, I don't know, just like it's sort of a vision board of what could happen, what I want, what makes me happy. And I kind of did it in like 5 minutes. But what I ended up doing was I looked back at it and there was a ton of pictures of Italy in there. And Josh and I traveled to Italy like 9 years ago, and it was a big trip. We were trying to adopt. We thought, well, if we adopt, our life will be changed forever, so let's travel. So we went to Italy for 2 weeks, and I fell in love with it. And I said to Josh, like, if adoption doesn't work, I'm going to either go to France or Italy for like 2 months and write. I was really into writing, and that was sort of my creative outlet at that time. And then adoption did happen, and our life shifted a lot. But in the back of my mind, I've been like, I need to get back there at some point. But I've kind of pushed it away. Anyways, so end of the vision board. the next day, I was like, I wonder if that was such a good workshop with Jen. I wonder what Gina DeVee is offering. So, and I don't really know her that well other than reading the book. So I just looked her up on her website, and literally the first page that popped up was this transformation in Tuscany. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go there. And then I scrolled down and I saw the price. I was like, oh my God. I don't usually spend that kind of money on those kind of things. But I just, like, from day one, the second I saw that, I was like, I need a shift. I need a movement. I feel like this is what I need to do. So I chatted with Josh, and he was pretty supportive. And so then the next day I just signed up. And then after I signed up, I was like, oh, let's just look into apartments. And, so I looked into Airbnbs, and I found this amazing apartment. If you see my videos, you've seen the video of my apartment. And then I just got this vision. I'm like already in Italy. Like, I need to be there for 2 weeks. That's really what I need. So I just booked that. And then that night, Josh is like, maybe we should have another conversation about Gina and that. And I was like, oh, sorry, dude. I've already booked it. I already booked 2 weeks in my apartment. Anyways, so he was like, okay. He was super supportive once that happened. So that's sort of how it came about. It just sort of snowballed. But I think the impetus behind it all has been turning 50. Like, I'm 51 now, but when I turned 50, I don't know, there's this shift when you turn a certain age. For me, it was 50, of like, are the best years of my life behind me? And of course, you don't want that to be true, because how sad and awful would that be? Like, that can't be true. But in order to make that not true, I have to be really proactive about my life. So, and some of you know us. And so part of this stuff that I'm going to get into, and I'm trying to navigate how to do it in a really good way, because I want to talk about mental illness a little bit and the struggles. We have a lot of challenges at home. And I want to talk more about like mental illness rather than my son in particular. But life is really, really hard. And we're working really hard, and we're trying to get a lot of support. But on a daily basis, life is really, really hard. And sometimes you can go down a dark path when life is really hard, and when things seem like they're not shifting and changing, or it's too slow for what you want. Anyway, so I was kind of in a funk of really, and I'm going to be honest in this live, of just really not liking my family life. Loving my husband, loving my son, but it being a sort of like a really hard place to be in, because it was so hard. So many challenges, and my mindset around it all was just not in a good place. And people that know about dealing with mental illness is like, the way you react, the way you deal with it, the way you support it matters. And so, and especially for a parent, like, you have to be so perfect all the time, which of course is impossible. But my reactions and my view and my perspective and my energy around everything matters. And I was in a really bad funk and had a hard time shifting it. So I just felt like something had to shift, something had to change. And so that was kind of going on. And then I was like, Tuscany, there's something about Italy, like, I've got to go. But the odd thing is like, when I went and going into the workshop, I was like, I think like why I'm going is because I want to shift kind of creatively what I do for a living, shift into something a little different, but I don't know what. And so I had my mind set on like, that really was why I was going. So the first day, so it's a 3-day workshop by Gina DeVee and there was 8 women, and I'm not going to talk about the other women other than to say like they were all amazing and from different countries, want to change and want to transform and want to be better and have more joy in their life. there's something really amazing about having that energy together. Anyways, it was an amazing group of women, but I'm going to talk about my transformation, not theirs. But so the first day, it's 3 days. The first day we go and she's, talking about like some emotional perspective, different things like that. And she started with me, because I was just laughing earlier, but I'm a bit traumatic because I'm an actor. So introducing ourselves, like I mentioned that my life can be sort of hellish at home sometimes. So she's like, I'm going to start with you because your life is a bit hellish. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But I didn't really think I was there for that. But obviously I was. Anyways, so the biggest thing, and I did get some business creative stuff that I'll share with you. But the first day, she really dealt with me, with my a transformation around my family life and my life around mental illness and a changing of perspective and sort of not a kicking me in the butt kind of thing, but like really flipping it, which I've talked to other people before and, people sort of put a positive side on things, but like, when you're in the thick of it, nothing, that doesn't help. So I didn't expect to come or to go to Italy for that. And I didn't really think it would work. Like, I was like, oh God, she wants to talk about my life and, and no one can help me around that. And they have no idea what it's like at my house. But I swear to God, like, I have been in a different place around it. She's very spiritual, and sort of the first thing she really talked about is like the amount of work that I have to do on myself and sort of you could say spiritual, you could say self-care, you could say whatever, but the amount of work that I have to do to show up in a place where I can really embrace my life and what's happening around mental illness is a lot. So she's like, you got to meditate half an hour in the morning, you got to meditate half an hour at night. And then I was like, whoa. I was like, if she knew me before, like I was a meditator back in the day, like I did Buddhist meditation, Hinduism meditation. I did a lot of meditation. I even went to like a 10-day retreat, silent retreat for meditation. And then I had a really bad experience with a spiritual teacher, and he used to meditate all the time. And I was like, well, if he's that messed up and he meditates, then I refuse to meditate ever again. That was sort of and she was like, okay. I did explain that to her. She was like, wow, well, you gave him way too much power. And yeah, that was a lot of meditating. So she introduced a different kind of meditating that's a little bit more guided, visualization guided, and I've downloaded some different meditations that's way more interesting to me. It was really hard for me to sit for half an hour working on my breathing like that. I did that for years and years, but this is more of a visualizing, like one of the ones that I do is very, like it's a half an hour, but it goes pretty quickly, and it really tries to change your mindset and put you in a much more proactive, interesting place. Anyways, but she was like, you have to raise your frequency, you have to go to a spiritual gym, whatever it takes, so that you can be at the right level to live your life. Because where I was before was pretty down, and my bandwidth was pretty thin, and so if shit hit the fan, whatever, it pulled me down pretty quickly, and made me really depressed and like, oh, nothing's going to change, and oh my God, our life is horrible and awful, and it was rough. There would be rough moments. My job and my excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick from Italy. So the idea that I have to put in the work, so I have to get up earlier and I have to put in the work before he wakes up so I can show up. But also the idea of how he and what's going on with him is really a conduit for me and my spiritual journey, and that there's a much bigger picture. And I'm trying to think of like another thing that she said too is like not making my family my source. And I think what she's religious, so I want to kind of extrapolate it for the people that aren't, but just like you can't make them responsible for your happiness. Like that is not their job. And I think I was blaming, wow, this is so honest, the chaos and the some of the craziness for my unhappiness. And so taking a bigger picture of that cannot be where I place my joy. That doesn't mean I can't get joy from those moments and love them and enjoy that experience, but I have to have a place where I can find a deeper joy and fulfill that in a way that doesn't put pressure on my family. Because then when it doesn't happen, I don't spiral. I don't know if any of this is making sense. So let me know if it's making sense or if you have questions. But it was like this huge shift in how I related to the hard, challenging issues that we're facing every day. And not that I am, and usually when I come back from a trip, when I go off by myself, which is not usually like a foreign country, but it's really hard for me to get back into my family life because of how hard it is. And there was a little bit of excitement or just like wanting and knowing somehow that this new shift would make a difference. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. And there's a lot more to it, but just knowing that obviously there's a big picture, there's a reason that it's so challenging, and that I can step up to the plate and I can bring healing, support, progress, like whatever it takes. But I have to do like go to my spiritual gym or go to whatever, my self-care, my support, whatever people want to call it, before and after I'm with him so that I can be there in the right place for him. So, let's see. Is there a strength that you always had that the workshop reminded you? That's a really good question, David. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because I used to be very spiritual, religious, and then I wasn't. But there was always like this strength that I had, this belief that I had, I think in the bigger picture, before, that I wasn't alone in the bigger picture, that I kind of lost sight of. I don't know if that makes sense. That I kind of reconnected with. And I do think, like, I've always been about, like, it's really important to me to, like, it's really important, like, to keep growing, to keep educating myself, to try and be a better person, like, day after day. And so hearing from her that, like, that takes, like, a half an hour, in the morning and a half an hour at night or whatever it takes, like, I have to put in that work, and I wasn't aware of that. But I think at the core, like, I can jump to the challenge of, like, I can do it. Like, I know that I can get to the place that I need to be. This challenge, I guess. I don't know if that was helpful, but what does spiraling look like for you? And once in, how do you get out? That's a great question. And I know Mark knows what I'm talking about. So spiraling for me can look many different ways. But I can go down like a black hole and be like, no matter what we do, nothing's going to change. And we're going to put in all this money and all this work. And then nothing's going to, and it's still going to be bad. I don't want to say specifics of what the bad could be. But I get in the spiral of like, nothing helps, nothing works. It's going to be the same. My life is horrible and it will always be horrible. I'm also really dramatic, so I say really crazy things to myself. Like, intense, passionate, like, oh my God, my life is terrible and it'll never be good. And, whatever. But so I can go down that. I've gone down that spiral. What brings me out? Well, this workshop, and knowing I had to shift and do something different. So the second I signed up for Italy and focusing on that journey kind of helped shift my focus into life is sucky, into like, I can shift and mold and sculpt my life in different ways. And now what I'm finding, I haven't spiraled in the same way yet. It's only been a few weeks since I've been back, so I know it'll happen. I'm hoping, though, like going back to the meditations, going back to some of the journaling that I'm doing, going back to some of the sort of the positive aspects, the gratitude and the positive aspects that I want to focus on. I think if we focus on all the negative, bad things, there's plenty, that's the truth. But if we focus on that, then that makes us spiral and think of all the other bad things. And sometimes if I like pull out like the progress that we've made in the last 3 years is actually phenomenal. It's not enough to make my life less hard. There's new hard things. But there's huge progress. And sometimes I get so in the spiral that I forget to like pull out. And there's like a lot that has changed. So perspective, I feel like perspective is so huge. And it's so... And it can get corny. Like, if someone's just like, just look at the bright side. Just be grateful. That can feel really crappy and corny because it feels as if people aren't validating like how hard, and I know like how hard things can get. But I think in a deeper way, perspective and pulling out and seeing the progress and also knowing that we have more power and control than we think we do to shift some things is important. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what I'm trying to figure. Like, I feel like I have more power to change my life than I thought. And I've always been about power and change and everything, but I think we have to, especially when we have really difficult things in our lives that may always be there. And I think you do this too, like you make films, like there's ways we have to carve out so that our life can be filled with also passionate, wonderful, joyful outlets that give us the capacity and the vibrance and the frequency, whatever that we need to tackle the hard stuff head on in a maybe more joyful, grateful way. I don't know if that's helpful. Would you recommend for people who are having a rough time with family or life in general, want to get out and reconnect with themselves, but maybe can't go to Italy? Yeah, not everybody can go to Italy. Yes. I think that's a great question, Emily. And I think that's the thing too, right? Is like everybody has, their lives are hard. Mental illness is one aspect, and a lot of people are affected by mental illness. We just don't see it. But also, even if you don't have any mental illness in your family, like life is hard. So yes, I think what I'm learning is there are lots of ways to create what kind of the speech is like these spiritual gyms. and they don't have to be religious, but what they mean is like this place to go where you build up your capacity to handle these things. So whether that's like listening to music that pumps you up, whether that's going for a walk in the woods, whether that's journaling, whether that's like chanting mantras, whether that's like a place you go that fills you up, that makes you feel good, so that you can deal with the stuff that's hard. But I think also who you surround yourself with, Emily, is like huge. So surrounding yourself with people that pump you up, that support you, that don't bring you down, I think is really important too. And then, like, let's say you love Italy, but you can't go. Like, I am so into fun things. That's like what Creative Joy is about, is like, which I'm going to do, is like, go out for a cappuccino and a croissant, right? You know, and play Italian music, you know, or learn some some flamenco, or listen, you know, whatever. But I feel like there are ways we can carve out little moments that bring us joy, that can fulfill some of our desires if we don't have the time or the money or the space to go to Italy. But also like figuring out like, what are your desires? What are your wants? Like, and give yourself some permission to have some of those, because life is so hard. And I think for me, like, I don't want my best years to be behind me. I want to be like the next, you know, I don't know how long I'm going to live, but I want it to be fun. And someone said, I think maybe Gina even, it was like, you know, you're going to regret more of the things you didn't do than the things you did. So start doing the things that you really want to do in some capacity, at least. Do you think you'll be able to keep up with the meditation, optimism? Any tips on self-care habits? Sometimes I get into self-care stuff and then I forget about it. Yeah, that's a hard one. And I think, so do I. I mean, or life gets busy and you like meditate for 3 days in a row and then you're tired and you sleep in, right? That stuff happens. For me, I think I'm finding, like the other day, I slept in and I didn't get up. I got up sort of at the time that my son got up, and I was off. I was not in as good a space. So I think for me, I'm finding that I have to, if I really want to show up in the way that I want to show up, and feel good for the rest of the day. So I'm trying to make it a non-negotiable. But I think also, like, I found a meditation that's more fun than, I think if I had to sit there and do it in the way that I used to do it, it was really boring for me. So it's really hard, and I'm not a morning person. So getting up and doing really boring things, then that's what I read too, is like, I'm not an exerciser. I know that I have to, and that's the next thing I'm working on. But if I have to get up early to exercise, I'm not going to do it, because so getting up and your self-care routine, somehow having some fun, some joy infused in it, is going to make you want to do it, rather than like self-care stuff that sucks and you're not going to want to do it. So thinking about that. So, okay. So anyway, so that was day one, and that was a huge shift. So that was like the biggest stuff that I kind of took away from it. She talked about a lot of different things. And one of the things people ask me about, so I'll kind of touch on it and see what you guys think. So a lot of the self-help world right now is really into manifesting. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like The Secret, that book that was really popular for a while. And I didn't like The Secret when it first came out. I was like, oh, this is stupid. I don't believe it. But I've heard enough people talk about it in many different ways, and I'm not gung-ho in the way that some people talk about it. But what I do, manifesting, just in case. And again, people do it in different ways. People do it in ways that I think is a little way over the top. But again, that's me. But manifesting is like thinking about something that you want. The idea is, and I like the idea, is that the stuff you focus on The more you focus on something, the more it comes into your life. So it's like Murphy's Law or in reverse. So Murphy's Law is like something bad happens and then another bad thing and another bad thing and another bad thing. And I do think there is something to that, because if you're negative or we're focusing on bad things, I think more of it happens. And I think the reverse is true too. So if we're focusing on things we're grateful for, we're positive about things, like I feel like more of those things come into our lives. Whether that's because we notice them and then, or whether it's because we're attracting them, or whether it's both. But I do find that to be true. But that's sort of the like the nuts and bolts about it. But the manifesting can be like, some people are like, you write it down, this is what you want, and then it'll come to you if you focus on it hard enough. I don't know that I'm not in that camp. I think that camp can get a little out there, though I'm like, if you want to try it, I mean, why not? But I have had some weird, crazy stuff happen where I have put out weird stuff and it has happened like that. Whatever. I do feel like there is an energy in the universe that is aware of our energy. And if we put out good energy and loving energy, that we do get that back. I don't know what else that means. But anyway, so there was a lot of talk about manifesting. And Gina's also about action. Some people are like manifesting and no action. Like that makes no sense to me. I'm an action-oriented person, but she's into inspired action. And like if you focus on something you want, then you'll get inspired action to go after that thing. And so I guess it's just put me back in more of I feel like a deeper positive mindset. I don't feel like it's just like putting an affirmation on my sticky note on the fridge. I feel like I've come to, and she's pretty spiritual and deep, so that has helped, but come to a deeper place of what I focus on matters. And it goes to, I'm going to screw this one up. It goes to that Native American story. I talked about this before, where you have two wolves. You know, there's the negative wolf and the positive wolf. And it's like, which one, this is terrible, this is not exactly it, but which one is going to eat, which one is going to be there for you? I don't know, something like that. And it's the one that you feed. It's the gist of it. So if you feed the positive one, then that's what you're going to get back. And that's really hard when you're spiraling, right? So I need to feed it at different times before the spiral happens, and that can prevent me from spiraling. Anyway, so there was a lot of manifestation stuff, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, so really the first 2 days was about emotional blocks and perspective, and really trying to train us into thinking about, like, we have so much more control in our lives than we think, even when we have chaos going in our lives. So it was a really nice shift. All right, Erin, will you share what mindfulness means to you? That's a good question. Mindfulness means, just to me, like being in the moment, being mindful, like being in the moment, being thoughtful, not reactive, paying attention, sort of be here now, Ram Dass. But being aware, being more self-aware and aware of your environment, which I think is important. Because again, like, that's why we need to go to the spiritual gym. Because if not, like, if we're not mindful, like, and for me, being mindful around mental health is really important, because you can see signs way earlier. So then you can prepare and maybe shift what's happening. But if you're not mindful and you're not really aware, and then bam, it escalates before you realize. So I find that I'm at least a little bit more mindful when I go to the spiritual gym and I'm in that space where I can be more mindful. I don't know if that answers your question, but out these emotional blocks. And she's a business oriented person, but the idea is like we get in our way more than nobody gets in the way like us, like for ourselves. And so really trying to shift and get out of the things that are getting in our way so that we can accomplish whatever it is we want. And everybody wanted different things. Some people wanted to make more money. Some people wanted more time. They were working too much and they wanted more time for family. Like everybody wanted different things, but we're all getting in our way. And so the first 2 days we're really working on that. What the heck is a spiritual gym? Good question. I think it means different things to different people. The way I'm using it is, you could call it a self-care gym, maybe, but it's the place, it's what you do to fill up your own bucket. It's what you do to put yourself in a really good space so that you can deal with everything else. So for me, my spiritual, and it's to put you in a really high positive frequency. That's a weird word too. It's just a word that they use. But it's a place to go. So like if you go to the gym, that's a place you go to work out your muscles, to get healthy. This is a place to get spiritually healthy, or self-care healthy. So spiritual gym for me is meditating to the meditations that I like now, journaling, listening to podcasts that are uplifting, supportive, self-help, reading self-help books that I find helpful, sometimes listening to music and dancing around my place. So things that get you into a good space where your bucket is full, where you feel good, where you're able to give a lot more to everybody in the environment around you, so that my bandwidth is much thicker. I have a lot more to give, and deal with the mental illness that sort of strikes. Anyways, I don't know if that's helpful, but okay, so that really was the first 2 days. And then the final day was business. So that I don't have to get into too much, but it was really proactive. It was like, what do you want? And then we all made business plans. The epiphany she had for me, which was, duh. Like after she said it, I was like, oh my God, duh. She was like, you have to raise your prices. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't raised my prices since way pre-pandemic. I'm not paying people as much as I want to pay them. I want to pay myself more. Why have I not raised my prices? Like it was just like this. It's so funny sometimes where you just need someone to look at the bigger picture and go, do this. So that was kind of a weird thing, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't charge that much for how much I give. So, anyway, yes. What are we saying about hair? Heavy hair, heavy heads. What are you guys talking about? I have no idea. But anyways, chat on. So anyways, it was just like super practical. The thing I really like about Gina and even Jen is like a lot of mindset perspective stuff, but also like super practical. So she had me figure out like where I'm going to change my prices, what my business plan is. The thing that I didn't shift and figure out yet is like where I'm going, what else I want to do, what I really thought I was going there for. I haven't quite figured out yet, like what my next chapter is work-wise. I'm kind of shifting, but I feel like that'll happen, especially if I go to my spiritual gym every day. I think that I'm going to get insights and follow that stuff. So, but for me, to be honest, like, so my thing is like, I want to make more money. Like I have always done what I love and I've always made money and it's always come, like enough of it. But, team of doctors, mental health is not cheap. And I want to travel more and I want to experience more and I want to pay people more. Like, I just want to, I want to do more, give more, and therefore I want more. So sort of that was my shift, is like, I want to make more money doing what I do. And I work really hard and a lot and I want to, see a result. So that was kind of how, so that's, my honest answer there. So that was kind of how she was helping. I don't know what's coming up. But that's sort of my future, is trying to figure that stuff out. But anyway, so that's sort of the gist of it. The business side is hard, yes. Banding together, learn financial, yes. Yeah, financial abundance is really, and the thing too is for me is I also want to make sure, like if I raise my prices for the people that can afford it, then we can also offer more scholarships and I can hire more people and pay them more. So it's a shift in that kind of thing. But any chance that you might be able to offer local workshops around these topics? Yeah, actually, like that's sort of where I feel like my shift is happening. That's sort of where creative joy came out, because one of my things that I love to do, and I teach acting, that's my main thing, right? But even in my intermediate, advanced, older teenagers, like we infuse so many life skills and empowerment stuff. It just starts so young, where we lose our power and we give our power away. And so like a lot of those skills, like I'm teaching them as well as acting. So that's where my love is too, is just that kind of stuff. So yes, stay tuned. I feel like there's going to be more and more of that kind of stuff happening as I shift. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we do our contest? Where do I want to go next? That's a great question. I was just thinking about that. So I feel like I'd love to go back to Italy and see, I was sick, so I stuck in Florence. So I feel like very comfortable in Italy, so I wouldn't mind going back and spending more time in other places. That's a possibility. But I also, France, I love France. I haven't been there in forever. So Europe is where I'm drawn to. But like, I don't know, like the art and the, that kind of thing. So, and maybe there's other, like Josh, my husband, is more like attracted to like Costa Rica and South America and, and jungles. And I'm like, castles and, and architecture. And did I say the word right in this one? And like, and art and, all of that stuff. So I don't know. That's sort of where I'm drawn. So, but I do want to try. Like that was the most amazing trip. So I do want to travel more. When I did get back, my son did say, "You are never." The first thing he says to me, "You are never ever going away for that long again." And I said, "Okay, so maybe I'll do like one day less next time." But it was a nice amount of time to really transform, to really make a shift. It was amazing. Let's see, any other questions before we give away our thingy-majingy? What? Yes? No.
It may take a minute.
I have a question. I'm struggling to articulate it. Okay, all right. Take your time. I know you're slow. I'm just kidding. I know, Mark, so I can say that. You just keep going. I'm just going to, show off the fan. I just love it. They just take so much care. With all these beautiful products. I mean, you pay for it, but it's worth it. I feel like art is worth it. Art is always worth it. Okay, keep articulating. Dun, dun, dun. La, la, la.
More travel vlogs with me.
What?
I asked more travel vlogs.
Featuring me? I'm like, yeah, maybe. If you come with me and do my hair. Yes, don't wait for me. Slow me. All right, you take your time. We can give this away as Mark is formulating his, we don't know what kind of question. Now you're making me nervous, Mark.
Mark's already asked.
I would love to visit you, Jillian. You know what, Jillian? I feel like there's someone else in Houston. There's someone else in Texas. I'm going to figure that out so that we can come. Okay. All right. So here we go. So what we're doing is we're putting your names into a wheel, and we're going to spin the wheel, and then whoever gets it will get this. Can you see me or the wheel?
You.
Okay. I can't see me, so I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening right now, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. Let me just share some other wisdom that she shared. While we look, I fill up this, one of the ways that she had us journal that I thought was kind of cool, if you're into journaling at all, was, and I liked it because it started out like artist pages, the thing that I love to do, but it's like 3 pages, but the first page is, oh, are we spinning already? Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Spin. Okay, it's spinning. David, you are the winner. It's too bad you couldn't see that because it was hilarious, David. And there was confetti and everything. All right, I know where David lives. I can personally bring this to David. All right, your daughter might love this too. It's gorgeous. All right, David, you are the winner. Yay! Okay, I wanted to explain the journaling thing, and then we'll do last questions. So the journaling thing that I like is like the first page is stream of consciousness, like whatever's in your brain, you just kind of get it out. The second page is everything that you're grateful for, everything positive, anything you can be grateful for at all. And I always say, like, it can be big things, but it can be small things. Like, I really like my pillowcase. It feels really soft, whatever. But things that you're grateful for, and you'll build and you'll get the bigger stuff. And then the third page is like dreams, like anything, like what are your dreams? And I feel like as like little kids, we used to dream all the time. And then as you get older, they're like, okay, stop dreaming, get your head out of the clouds, be a grown up, be a whatever. But like, I feel like we should never stop dreaming. Like, what is wrong with dreaming? And I think out of dreams, we can figure out how to make some of those things reality, whether even if it's just like aspects of it. But we shouldn't stop dreaming. And I used to be a big dreamer, but dreaming brought me out to LA, which brought me to Josh, which brought me here. Like, dreaming has brought me a lot of things. So anyway, so the third page is like dreams. Anyways, I think it's a really fun way to journal and just kind of, I don't know, get a sense of what's going on in your life and also be a positive thing. And then you can look through your dreams and like, what things could you make happen? I think those are important because we get so stuck in like our daily lives and we forget and we just get through the day. And then at the end of the day, we're like, oh my God. And then we have another day. So like, I feel like we have to step back and dream and make some of these things happen or our lives go away so quickly. All right, Mark, did you finish the question? Emily likes to keep her head firmly in the clouds. I love it. I live up there with you. Yay. All right, Mark, how's it going? Are you writing an essay? We don't know. Okay, well, since we're waiting, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, I find that when I'm in the presence of great feeling, like at someone's sickbed, or seeing someone truly happy, like a wedding, or when you see someone make a real sacrifice, or when I go out of my way to help someone, that doing that gets me out of a spiral. Is that strange? No, I think that's brilliant. Let me just read it again. I find that when I'm in the presence of great feeling, like at someone's sick bed, that's interesting, or seeing someone truly happy, like at a wedding, or when you see someone make a sacrifice, or when I go out of my way to help someone, that doing that gets me out of this. No, I think that puts your life in perspective. I think that's the huge thing is like, I think when we go down the spiral, we're thinking about ourselves and our lives. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we get into this sort of smaller frame of mind. And I think one of the things that they talk about is like, if you're depressed, if you're in a bad space, like go out and fill someone's bucket or go out and do something for someone else, because there's a great book. Oh my God. Don't remember the name. There was a great book and I talked about it somewhere in one of my videos. I guess you'll have to watch every single video. But it's a book, and it was, I believe, researched by these Harvard researchers. And basically they said the main thing that gets people out of depression is not self-care, but it's taking care of someone else. I think we have to take the perspective of, so I'm going to address that in a second. But basically they found that like, if you take the focus off yourself and you put the focus on other people, that will get you out of those spirals, that will get you out of depression, that will get you in a better mindset. What I'm finding is I think both have to be true. Like for me, like I got to get up way earlier than my son so I can put myself in the right frame of mind. So I got to do all that self-care, but in a way that works. And then also then do things for other people. So actually I think that's pretty brilliant. You're spelling things wrong. I'm just telling, Megan's actually sitting right next to me typing in stuff for Magic Mice, so I see what she's doing. Anyways, I think that's brilliant, Mark, and I think it's amazing that you know that, so that if you do go down that spiral, which, we will, is that you know that and then you take action quicker than you might have before so that you can get out of that spiral. I think that's great. All right. Assigned viewing for all the class. All Magic Mice videos ever. Just in case I mentioned the book. The Harvard study that says, well, yeah, Harvard. Anyway. Yeah, I love it. Okay. So any other questions, wants, needs, anything? I am doing another workshop with Gina in January in New Orleans, which I think would be fun to do like a little travel vlog from New Orleans. I haven't been there in forever. And we actually went right after Katrina. So I know things are more up and running and so it'll be really cool. So you guys are so amazing. I was like, no one's going to show up. So it's nice that you all did. But it was something that I wanted to share so I could talk about it and answer questions. And I don't often talk about, like, that's the weird thing about social media, don't you think? Because we want to post happy pictures and we want to post, like, really good things on our lives to inspire other people and make them happy and also to show, like, the good stuff. But I find that people sometimes look at my social media page and like, oh, she has the perfect life. And like, oh, they have no idea. But it doesn't negate that those moments did happen. It's just there's a lot of moments out of focus that are also happening. But you don't want to put all those on social media either and depress people. So like finding a balance of like telling the truth and talking about mental illness and like the challenges that we all have. Like that's the thing is like, I don't want to talk about these skills and this self-help stuff if people already think that I have my crap together. Because then it's like, well, of course she can do it. She has no challenges. Like it's so easy for her. And so I want to be honest about like, it's not true. And the reason I'm doing all of this stuff is because of that, because of how hard life is and all the challenges and all of that stuff. Anyway, so that I think that's why I wanted to connect on here. Thank you, Mark. The last Italy video was amazing. Yeah, it's like, I think being stuck in Italy for that last week and just walking around and really trying and just absorbing, I really got a lot. Like it was a much deeper trip than I thought it was going to be. I had a lot of fun, but it was deep. I got a lot from it. So I encourage anybody to travel as much as you can, if you can. Because I feel like and I think there's something about, if you can afford it, there is something about foreign countries because people do things differently than Americans. So it is so wonderful to be around that mindset, even if it drives you crazy and I'm like panicking that I'm not ever going to make it home because I can't get a taxi. But there's just such a different, just everybody does things differently and we get so stuck in the American way sometimes. And so traveling is really, really nice. So I encourage anybody and everybody to do it if you can. So Emily says, thank you for that. Anybody's life is perfect. Yes, as I know, that's true. And I think we have to remind ourselves when we go on social media, like, because that can get depressing too. So I limit my social media as much as I can. Just because of that too, just to, whatever. So I don't know what else to say other than I love you guys and thank you for watching the videos and checking in with me and being supportive, and I support you guys and it's been fun. It's been fun sending prizes and sending postcards. Hey, did anybody ever get my postcard? Did you get it, Jillian? Did you get my postcard? It said it would take 5 days and it cost like $5 to send a postcard. So, I want you to get the freaking postcard. So hopefully, anyways, maybe she's not there. Yes, not yet. Will you please let me know if you get it? Okay. Anyways, yes, I hope you get it. Oh, okay. Well, anyways, okay. Good night, all of you. I love you all. And, yes, post about it. And I did send Jillian, you also are getting that package. So post about that when you get that. So, Mark, you didn't win any of the prizes, Mark. You got to play. You got to play to win. So there. Okay. Love you guys.